Dax retweeted you and F-bombed you at the same time. What's going on there?
It's a long story, but I mean, so basically here's the story. Okay. FTR at one point were told that on the Chicago pay-per-view that it was going to be Young Bucks against them, for all the belts. And, I expected that match, right? I thought that was the match to make. And obviously the powers that be thought that they've been sitting on this Kenny Omega return and trios belts and Adam Page return, thing forever and ever. And they were waiting for Kenny Omega to return to bring these trios belts in. And now Kenny Omega is ready to return. So in that sense, that usurped whatever the plan was. And, the Young Bucks were never supposed to get those belts anyway. That was supposed to be the Hardys. But Jeff, what happened with Jeff. So, but they really wanted that match. And I wanted that match. And I wish the match happened. But, it's just like you got to go with what you think is the bigger business. You can always do that match, bringing back Kenny Omega for this pay-per-view, I think, and putting the Adam Page thing back together is something that they hope will, build, their business up, especially for this pay-per-view show. I mean, the thing is, you want this pay-per-view to do you always want your pay-per-view to do as big as possible. But this one, it's like he's got that streak. Every pay-per-view's beaten the year before. And this coming up all out will almost surely be the one that breaks the streak. And we've all known it for a year. But he wants to go for it, and I get it. He wants this killer show and felt that is a bigger thing. So that was the decision. But they were not happy of that. And there's still going to be a match. But, there's people who were saying it's the Young Bucks and they manipulated and they turned babyface to somehow usurp or get out of doing a job or whatever. And it's like, that's, I just thought that was ridiculous because it's obviously, I get why everything happened but I get why they're upset too. So they were upset with me because I said, that's ridiculous, but and also there's always that, they've done that, the stuff before in the sense of, they'll go on TV and Dave Meltzer, blah, 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 with when they did the feud with the Young Bucks before was part of the feud. So yeah. I get that. And it doesn't, and it's like, do I wish that they wouldn't do it? Yes. Will I ever tell them, please don't do it? No, because it's like, if they think that it draws money, I don't know if it does. I don't think it does. But if they think it does stir interest, go stir interest. And all this is obviously meant to stir interest. And the match is going to happen anyway at some point. And they have a date for it. It's just not for a couple months. And, but yeah, they really, they really did want that match now, for the belts and from their perspective. And, it's almost like I almost wish that they did it and then went to the trios thing for November because the Young Bucks lost the belts, which they weren't going to have anyway. But the point is that when they did accidentally win those belts due to Jeff Hardy, it did create this situation with this Ultimo Dragon, historical thing where you've got this one team with 3 belts, but they don't have the big belt. And then you've got the other team with the big belt. And you can argue that these are the 2 best tag teams of the last however many years, decade, whatever. They're just freaking awesome teams. And they're 1-1. And, you could say, like, this is the biggest historical match. You could even go and put it in the, like they did with the Briscoes match, where it's like, that should be in the main event, not Claudio. And they did that. And I would say if it's Punk coming back, and it's Punk and Moxley, let's just say, right? I would not have put the Bucks in, and even for that historical stuff, I wouldn't put them on last. But if it's Moxley and somebody else and Punk's not ready, I would have gone and say, we are going to make our statement. We're putting these guys on last. Plus, nobody's going to be able to follow them anyway. So if you put them on next to last, you're killing your main event. So I would have put them on last. I would have built it up as the biggest tag team match in history of wrestling. And they didn't do that. Okay, so that was the decision. Whatever. I think I don't know if FTR is wrestling Strickland and Lee in Chicago. I think they should. I think they should beat Strickland and Lee, which is still a babyface match. And I think that the Young Bucks match should be for all the marbles and be built up in that way I just said, for November or February or whenever they get to it. I think that that match is right there, and they'll promote it however they want. And, that's the situation. But I do think that from a timing standpoint, Chicago would have been good. But they, I get why they went the other way. I think they really want Kenny Omega back, and they don't want Kenny Omega back with nothing to do. You know what I mean? And I think they want him back for that trios thing, so that usurped the other thing. So that's the deal. And yeah, so he was mad at me because do I think this is all politically motivated to hold those guys down? No, because I understand the whole situation. I don't think it was. Do they? I mean, maybe they do. Whatever.
Speaking of the